everybody, I'm Jimmy Rainsford. I'm here at Drumeo and welcome to this YouTube lesson where we're going to be talking about 3 tips on how to make your grooves sound good. Now these 3 tips can really change the way you play drums in such a great way, and they're sometimes overlooked. So let me just name the 3 tips. The first tip we're going to be talking about is your dynamics. Now when I say dynamics, I mean between limbs, I mean to your ghost notes, to how you play certain drums dynamically. The second tip is about timing, about when not to play, the space between notes, how to keep a solid pulse and a internal clock almost. And then the third thing is your consistency. Keeping the groove consistent, keeping the groove solid, keeping it your strokes on the drums, keeping them very consistent to make the groove really stand out and really be consistent is very important. So let's look at the first tip. So the first tip, we're going to be talking about dynamics. Now the first thing I want to talk about in dynamics is approaching a drum beat, a drum groove, the way a producer would approach a groove. You want, especially between the kick, snare and hats, you want to almost have them mixed in your head. You know what I mean? You want to hear the bass drum up front, you want to hear the snare just on top of that, and then the hi-hats to be the quietest. You don't want to have the opposite way around. You don't want the hi-hats to be overbearing. You don't want the cymbals to be overbearing. Dynamics are very important in a groove. Let me just do a really quick demonstration. I'll do bad dynamics, and then I'll do better dynamics. So here's bad dynamics. Loads of hi-hat, the bass drum isn't really punching you properly. It's just a bit lacking in a bit of punch. So let's do the same groove and let me just change the dynamics around slightly. Let me put my body behind my kick, really get that to punch, and let me put my body behind that snare and make it really snap, okay? Okay, you can hear a difference straight away. The kick drum is really punchy. It's really up in your face, and same with the snare. The snare is cracking and it's good. The dynamics are perfect for that groove. It sounds great. It's unquestionable. The next thing I want to talk about in dynamics in the same tip, I want to talk about ghost notes and how ghost notes can change the way a groove sounds, but also when the ghost notes aren't played properly and dynamically the right way, it can ruin a groove very easily. Let me show you what I mean. I'm just going to play a groove with ghost notes, but I'm going to just over-exaggerate those ghost notes, okay? Okay. Yeah, I know it sounds like a fine groove, but you can just refine that just a little bit, and just make that groove sound just a little bit better. And what I mean by that is let's do the same beat, but let's keep that backbeat solid, and let's just do some ghost notes. Same ghost notes, but let's just keep them a little bit lower. Better dynamics. Same on the hat, same on the kick. Here we go. Difference straight away. Those dynamics are just such a subtle little thing you can do, but it can just completely change the way your groove sounds, completely change it. And very important, 2 things, the dynamics between your limbs and also the dynamics of your ghost notes in your grooves. It can just enhance your grooves a little bit better. Let's move on to the second tip. Now the second tip, we're going to be focusing on timing. And again, timing is overlooked. People don't think about timing, especially if you start off playing music that's very busy and all you want to do is play fills. That's great, every note is filled up, but when you start actually grooving, if you want to get somebody to play a 4-on-the-floor beat with space, the timing can completely go off, You got to be aware of what you don't play as well as what you play, It's just very important. So let's talk about note spacing. Now let's talk about let's just talk about normal groove, okay? I'm just going to play a groove badly. I'm going to not pay attention to the space. I'm going to just go in and out of the space, and you'll hear what I mean. Here we go. Okay, it's just slightly a bit edgy. You know, you can kind of feel the tension in the beat because it's not taking advantage of the space between the notes. Let me show you what it would be like if I kept it more consistent with note spacing. Let me just do the same thing, but I'm going to do it a lot slower. I'm going to do a lot slower groove with a lot more space. Because it's with those kind of grooves that are a little bit faster, it's a bit easier. But let me just do a very, very slow groove. And let me show you what I mean by having good spacing. So let me just do it badly first. Okay, I'm just not paying attention. I'm over-exaggerating, obviously, but I'm not paying attention to the spacing between the notes. You know, it's a very, very simple groove, but if you don't pay attention to the space, it's not going to happen properly. So let me just do the same groove, but with just a bit better attention towards the spaces. You can start adding, like we were saying before, with your dynamics, your ghost notes to make it just flow a little bit better. Okay, it fills that space, but it's not overbearing. You know, the note spacing is obvious, and it's well kept. You know, it's not over exaggerated or it's not off time. It's there, and it makes your groove flow a little bit better. And also, like if you're talking about feel within a song as well, you know, you got to feel the groove, and you gotta make your groove be able to be understood by everybody. You know, you got to have it like a natural thing that people can just move along to. And like the groove I just played there, you can feel that in the groove. You can feel the natural pulse, you know, the natural rhythm of that groove. It's very important to really maintain that from the start, especially if you're a beginner drummer and you're starting to play. Take note of these tips because they can carry you a long way in the future. You know, they can stay with you and it'll really help. Let's move on to the third tip, which is consistency. Now, what I mean by consistency is like consistency within your groove. Playing the groove the right way, not altering the groove for unnecessary reasons. You know, keeping the groove memorable, keeping people who are listening being able to identify to the groove. And also, when I talk about consistency, I'm talking about the strokes of your limbs, the consistency between your bass drum and your hands, you know, your feet and your hands, I mean. It has to be consistent. You have to be hitting that snare at the right spot every single time, you know, to make it sound consistent. Same with the hi-hats. You don't want to be getting louder on the same groove and then quieter. Bass drum, it doesn't want to be quiet. Like on some beats, it has to be always consistently that same kind of pulse. Let me give you an example of a groove that doesn't have that has consistency, and then I'll give you a groove that doesn't have consistency. Here we go. Consistent groove, let's do one that's not consistent. Unnecessarily consistent, and it just doesn't help the groove very much. Keep the groove consistent, let people identify with it, and let it enhance the music and not enhance your drumming. So if you like those 3 tips, you can go and subscribe to Drumeo Edge, where I do a full course on refining your groove, and all those tips I was talking about is in there, just more explained, and a lot more video content. So please go check it out, and yeah, have a good time.